host, Jenna. Oh, perfect.
There it goes.
There
I
we
was
go.
gonna say it asked me permission and I gave it permission, so it should work.
Perfect.
All right. So purpose of tonight's meeting is just to share a little bit about our family support committee. So as you guys know, we're starting to grow as an organization, and with growth, we need to introduce some new programs. Me and Rachel are together working to run the family support committee. So tonight we're just going to go over what the family support committee is and what different things you can get involved in with the family support committee if you choose to. By being here tonight, you're not committing to anything. You're just here to learn. And then we're going to send you guys a follow-up email tomorrow, which will let you know the next steps of what you can do to let us know if you want to move forward with working with us. Some of you are already working with us. So we have some of our family support network representatives here tonight. So thanks to you for being here, those of you that are here from the Family Support Network, and thank you for the work that you do. We'll be talking a little bit about the work that you guys do in one of our slides. So like I said, this is the Family Support Committee. It's run by me and Rachel, and we are on the board of directors, and we do family support for the SATB2 Gene Foundation board of directors. Let me get my next slide. Okay, so why the Family Support Committee? So the purpose of the SATB2 Gene
We can't
Foundation.
see your slides,
Sorry,
Jenna.
I'm not seeing slides. Is it me?
We see Google.
You see Google. Okay, hold please. Let me skip that. I might have just gone to the wrong screen when I hit share. Let's try this. Did that work?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so why the Family Support Committee? So the purpose of the SATB2 Gene Foundation Family Support Committee is to provide parent, caregiver, and family support and input to the SATB2 Gene Foundation Board of Directors. This committee's purpose is to support members of our community through programming as it relates to the SATB2 Gene Foundation mission and strategic plan. And then in this center little notepad paper here, it says what we do. We have the Family Support Network, sibling support, adult family community, and then webinars and virtual meetups. And then off to the left side of the screen here. So this is a picture of some of our Northern California families. And then right here in the center is Linda Veneras. She's our representative for Northern California. So we asked her to just share a quote about what it means to her to be part of the Family Support Network. And she said that the Foundation's family support program has made it possible to connect with more families in California than I ever would have known. I'm so grateful for this community. And Linda is mom to Joshua. And like I said, she's also our Northern California representative. So in the next couple slides, I'm just going to be going over that middle piece there, what these different moving pieces are. So I'm going to start with the Family Support Network, and then I'm going to hand it over to Rachel to do sibling support. And then, not to put you on the spot, Stephanie, but if you want to share a little bit about the adult family community, and then I will share kind of what you're looking for help. And then I'll wrap it up with sharing about the webinars and virtual meetups. Okay, so the Family Support Network. So the Family Support Network is our peer-led program that empowers families affected by SATB2-Associated Syndrome to navigate and support their journey. It launched last year in 2024, and our goal is to connect families together within their states or regions to help navigate area resources, share connections to those close by, and host virtual and in-person meetups. So if you go on our website, on the SATB2 Gene Foundation website, we have a section for the Family Support Network. On there, there's a map, and it's a interactive map that you can click on, little dots on it, and it will show you where our representatives are. Currently, we only have, I should have counted this before, I want to say 13 reps. So out of 50 states, we only have 13 reps. We did just lose a few. So we are still very much in need of representatives. So if you go on there and you don't see a dot on your state, that means you don't have a rep in your state. So if if that's something that you're willing to do, we certainly could always use more people. And that's probably our number one need right now, is to get more people in our family support network. It can sound a little daunting sometimes, I think, because you hear about state resources, and as we all know, those are not easy to find information about. They're hard to know about unless you've taken specific classes on it, or have really done your homework. So I don't want you to get overwhelmed by that thought. I don't want you to think that we expect you to know every single detail about your state, and that if you don't know all that information, that you can't do this. I don't expect you to know that. I expect you to just be willing to help the families find it out. And that's good for you too, because it helps you learn what your state has for you and your family as well. And then as far as the meetups go, they don't have to be anything crazy. We just try to help keep people connected on off years. We only host our family conference every 2 years. So in the in-between, we want to stay connected. And I think for some areas it's harder than others because we have some states that are much larger than others. So getting together in person can be more difficult. So having multiple representatives in those states is essential as well, because you want to be able to get together with the people in your immediate region. And if you live 5 hours away from each other, that's not really possible. So think your big states, think Texas, California, New Jersey weirdly has a lot of families in it for a small state. Pennsylvania, where I live, huge state. I'm the only rep in it currently. I'd love to have somebody on the western and even in the central part of the state. New York is another big state. We only have one representative in New York currently, and she lives in the city. So, we would love to have somebody for upstate New York area. So what the family support representative is somebody, it doesn't have to be a parent. It could be a parent, a caregiver, a grandparent, another SAS family member, a really good close family friend, anybody who's well connected to the SATB2 community. And you would be the representative for the state or region in which you live. You act as a liaison between your families and the SATB2 Gene Foundation. So what that means is we get emails right through our info page all the time. Those come directly to me. If I get an email from Marsha, who lives in Texas, I'm not going to be able to help her. I live in Pennsylvania. So I want to be able to connect her to that person that lives there and who can help her with those types of things, help her get connected to other families, just be, somebody who she can talk to who lives near her, who understands the journey, might be familiar with some of the medical care networks that she goes through. That person is going to be able to better help her than I will. So that's why these people are so important. You're also a point of contact for families in your state or region for general questions, guidance, support, through and about the diagnosis of SATB2-Associated Syndrome, and then the resources needed to navigate that. So we would also ask you that you be familiar just with our resources as a foundation as well. Spend some time on the website, get to know our website, get to know what programs we offer, get to know where you can find things on the website, learn about the resource portal that we offer and what's on there. So if you don't know these things, learn about them. Take the time, like I said, on the website, come to me, come ask questions, go to Rachel, ask her questions. But, take the time to do your homework and learn about that. So that's Family Support Network in a nutshell. Does anybody have any questions before we move on to the next one? Go ahead, Donna.
Sorry, so on the interactive map, right?
Yes.
If the state's gray, there's no one there? I don't mean there's no kids there.
No,
Or-
that doesn't mean there's no families there. It just means there's no
Oh.
representative there.
Oh, that's all? Oh, okay.
Yes, that's all that
Okay.
means. It doesn't mean there's no families there.
Okay, that's what I was, okay, got it.
Let me actually, oops, sorry.
Sometimes we may not actually, we'll have to revisit that. I'm not sure if we have a SATB2 family in every state.
We do not.
Some states all only have one.
Yeah.
There's only one family in West Virginia, and there's no other families in West Virginia. And the purpose of the family support network, like Jenna was saying, is really just to be a point of contact for resources. Every state does things differently, so it's just to connect you with other
Right.
families, to share your journey and see maybe there's a resource that your child or your grandchild or your whoever you're taking care of, whoever you're helping, maybe like my son just got diapers through insurance. If you didn't know that that's something that your child can get, it's just being a point of contact and kind of going over what your state may or may not offer and how to
Got
help
it.
them maybe guide them in a way that they wouldn't know before.
Yeah, see, so I'm in New Hampshire, so I was looking like, you mean
Yes.
you mean there's no one in Mass? There's no.
No. Yeah, so this is our map, our interactive map. So the ones that are purple that have dots on them, that just means that there's a representative in that
Got
state.
it.
So I actually need to make some adjustments here because, like I said, we did just lose some of our reps. So currently South Carolina no longer has a rep.
Are there 2 of us in Wisconsin?
No, there's 2 in Minnesota.
Okay. I was like, okay.
Wisconsin, I don't know what it looks like on your screen, but on my screen, Wisconsin has the 1 dot in the middle here, and then Minnesota is right next to it with the 2 dots. And then below it, Illinois has 1 as well. So yeah, so we just lost South Carolina, so they no longer have a representative, but they also only have 1 family there, so it's not a huge deal right now.
I was like, 'cause
And
that's not where I'm at in the state. So I was just curious if there was somebody else.
Yeah, no, sorry.
It's just like a pinpoint.
When he puts
Okay,
the map
just
on, yeah,
in
it's not
general.
really
Gotcha.
necessarily exactly where you live. It's
Gotcha.
just kind of to put somebody in the state. He does try sometimes to put it close to where you live, but he doesn't.
Okay.
My husband's the one that does all this. Just
It's
so
probably
everybody-
because I'm close to Minnesota, so maybe he
Oh yeah,
pushed me over.
yes.
Minnesota, Iowa border.
So if
I-
we did, oh, sorry, go.
Go ahead.
No, Donna, go ahead.
If we did sign up, right, for this,
Yeah.
or volunteer, you guys know what I'm saying. Do you share with us who the families are in that state?
Yes.
Like, how do you reach out? You know what I'm asking?
Yes. So if you join as a Family Support Network representative, we ask you that you sign a confidentiality agreement.
Yeah, that's all fun. Yep.
And then that would give you access to a SATB2 email. So it would be your state at satb2gene.com. And then after that, we have a drive, like a Google Drive, and it's a volunteer drive. And we have all of the states for anybody for any of the states that we have a representative. We have, it's like a Excel spreadsheet that has your family's information on it, contact information. Now, this is only as good as families registering, right? Like we don't
Exactly.
have
Our
their
contact
information
registry
if
only
they're not
goes so far.
registering.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I mean, our families are pretty good about it. We have a pretty good registry built up. But you know, that's something that you could always encourage people to do as well. Like we said, we currently only have 1 family in West Virginia that we know of. There could be more. We just don't know them.
And
So people need to learn about us.
Yeah, and I think a good point too, Donna, is especially being in New England, just like Jenna's kind of in the tri-state area, even though there may not be a representative or a volunteer for that specific state, we always try to guide someone to like the closest family. So
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
family in Louisiana, and we're like Texas is your closest representative.
Right.
Like, let's get you connected with them.
I totally understand that because, like, I'm on the border of Vermont, Mass. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
right there,
I'm from Mass
so
originally,
I totally get that.
Totally get you on that.
And I will
But yeah,
tell you, we have a couple families in Mass. Weirdly, several families in Connecticut.
Oh,
Don't know
I think
how
you told me
that happened,
before.
but we have
Yeah.
like quite a few families in Connecticut, which is where I'm from originally. So I find that
Right.
very
We
interesting.
talked about that, I think. Yeah.
Yes,
You
yes.
also said there's a lot of families in New Jersey as well, right? Because I'm from New Jersey, so I wasn't sure.
Oh, you're from New Jersey.
there's a
So
lot.
yeah, so we actually we do have a lot of families in New Jersey, and we just added a rep to New Jersey. I don't have her in there yet. Her name's Edna. But yeah, I mean, she could definitely use a hand, I think, because it's a busy state. We have, last I counted, I want to say we had close to 10 families in New Jersey.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot, which for such a teeny tiny state, like their numbers were comparable to like Texas and California even, which is so weird to think about.
I know. I thought I was the only one because my daughter has SATB2 syndrome, so I didn't know anyone who had it.
Oh yes. No, where in New Jersey are you? Because I'm in Pennsylvania.
I live in North New Jersey.
Northern Jersey. Okay. Because I'm just right outside of Philadelphia, so I'm not far from the Jersey border at all. So, but yes, we have lots of families in New Jersey to get you connected with. So that's definitely not an issue. And then Lauren, who's our New York representative, she lives in New York City, so she's not far from North Jersey either.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, lots of connections that we can definitely get you hooked up with.
Yeah, X, just gonna say if you send us an email to family support at SATB2-Gene.org, Jenna and I monitor that email and we can definitely get you synced up with the representative for that area.
Okay, yeah, and then I would like to do that.
Yeah. And I think lastly, just to add, being a representative, what I like to do, I'm the representative for Florida. And because Florida is so massive, the state's just so large, it's really hard. We've actually never done an in-person meetup just because there's way too many of us to be spread out to have a central location. I like to send quarterly emails to my families just to say like, hey, do you need anything? Like, how's it going at school? Are you struggling with IEP? Like, do you need to vent or talk? And sometimes I get responses and sometimes I don't, but I just try to do that outreach. Usually once a quarter, sometimes every 6 months even, just to see if anyone needs anything, if I can help. That's all.
And the one thing I like to just make sure I talk about as well, because as those of you that are already in the network have experienced, this is a very new program, and it's, I think, just kind of a new idea to a lot of people. So right now, getting connected is not easy, I will say. You know, we try to reach out to families, and we don't always get a lot of responses back. So it can feel discouraging because you're not getting a lot of responses back. But just know that even though they're not responding to your email, it is important to our families. They tell us this all the time. So just know that even though you might not get an email back, it does mean something to them, and it is making an impact. And we need to just keep pushing for it because our families do want it. They tell us in our surveys every time we send one out that they want this connection. So this work is probably my top priority as family support.
Yep.
All right. And then one of our other very important programs is sibling support, which Rachel's going to talk about.
Yeah. All right. So we started sibling support around the time of the conference in 2022. And it was part of a program that we were a part of called Sib Shop, where it is essentially a support shop meant for siblings of those with disabilities and special needs. And it was another really big ask and a really big hit for our families is to have something for our typical siblings. So we recognize and understand that being a sibling of someone with special needs can be really challenging, especially with SATB2. So we wanted to create a safe space where our SAS siblings can come together, meet other people, talk about their siblings, find that mutual support. So that's really what sibling support is about. I spearhead this because I kind of have um, a really special situation where I'm actually a sibling myself. So my brother has something called trisomy 18 or Edward syndrome. So I grew up being a special needs sibling. To be honest, never knew any other kids growing up whose sibling was different. So I've always been in this world on the back burner, never as a caregiver. Myself personally, obviously, just as a sibling. And then what were the chances of our family being blessed with another person with a chromosomal disorder? And here came Lincoln with SATB2. So it's kind of the perfect fit for me in the little niche of my area of understanding kind of what it means to be a glass child and understanding all of the things that go along with being a sibling of someone with special needs. So it's really important and near and dear to my heart to get this program up and running. We did a SIB shop with an official representative at the 2022 conference. And then we took it upon ourselves to, Jenna is actually registered for the SIB shop. And we actually really made this program up and running at our last conference last July in 2024. And it went really well. We had a pre-conference virtual meetup. We met at the conference. One of the genetic counselors came. We talked about feelings. We did funny crafts. We did games. And it was really just a safe space for them with a little bit of emotions and a little bit of like kind of therapy thrown in just to let everyone know that it's okay and our families are different, but why it's important to talk about it. And we've had 3 sibling quarterly meetups virtually so far since the conference. And it's been really good. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to expanding the program because I think it's really important. Kind of leads into all different areas. It leads into the sibling support and the adult support of what happens when my sibling gets older, who's going to be their caregiver, what's going to happen. So it kind of gives them a safe space to talk about that at all different age levels. And that's really our goal with sibling support is not just the virtual support, but what resources do our siblings need? Do they need infographics or short webinars on like family planning or how to explain my sibling to my friend? Or what types of resources can we provide to our typical SAS siblings to kind of make their lives a little bit easier and to make them feel heard and understood. So that's what we're looking for with support. The virtual sibling meetings are really wonderful. But I think that there's definitely an area here that we can improve upon. So that's some of the things that we'd like to do for sibling support. And I would love some support kind of getting this up and running. So if you do have more than one child and you have typical siblings of all age ranges, definitely reach out to me and let's talk about some ideas of how we can support them in other areas.
And I do want to add to that as well. So any of us can help Rachel and support her with those resources that she was talking about. But then in terms of the virtual meetups, I don't know if she wants additional support or not, but I was supporting her in those meetings. I am no longer able to do that because my daughter just turned 6, so she's able to join those meetings now. So in order for her to be able to, be open and honest, I obviously can't be there. So if Rachel is looking for support in that area and you do not have a child who participates in that, I'm sure she would love the additional support there as well.
Yeah, 100%. I try to make it fun and easy and follow the same template of I do a PowerPoint, slides, and we just say like, would you rather eat a donut or eat ice cream? And we make little funny games out of it. And then we are like, okay, well, tell me a time where your sibling made you upset. And we talk about it together. And then it's like, okay, do you want to go to a concert or a Ferris wheel? And we just try to do funny things. They're over the would you rather game. So I think next time we're gonna maybe do some trivia, some Disney trivia maybe is probably the easiest thing for most little kids. All ages can join the sibling support, but it tends to be more, I would say the 6 to the 12 range is the highest rate of joining we have. Yeah.
That's what I was just going to ask. What's the typical age? Because I have a 7-year-old
Have
who's
them join. Yeah.
non-SAS, obviously. And then a 2-year-old, she's, I think, too young yet, but
Yeah, we have a lot of like 9 to 11s usually. But we try to start at 6 just because they understand a little bit more, I think, and they're a little bit more mature once they hit 6. And we just go up from there. There's really no end. One time we had a sibling who was in her 20s who joined, and she joined along with the kids and played all the games, and it was wonderful. So we all just want to be seen and heard. So that's the point of it.
cool.
Yeah.
Any questions about sibling support before we move on?
How often do you do those?
I do them quarterly.
Okay.
So I think the next one, I believe we chose May. I will double check in 2 seconds. We did Sunday, May 18th at 3 p.m. We chose Sundays in the afternoon for these just because it's really difficult after school. I think this late time with sports and homework is a little too late, but we know that the weekends get busy with church and school events and other things. So I did the 3 p.m. on Sunday, but I'm always willing to move them around if that time frame doesn't work for the majority.
Is that Central Time or
Eastern, I'm sorry.
Eastern? So 2.
Yeah, so 3 Eastern. Yeah.
Okay.
On Sunday, May 18th is the next one.
Perfect.
Yeah.
just wanna
And we
bring
try
it
to be
up.
cognizant of summertime and vacations, and we try not to book it around any holidays or anything like that.
Perfect.
Just before we move on to the next one, I know a few of you just joined us recently. Sorry you sat in the waiting room so long. I didn't even notice y'all sitting there while I was talking. I apologize. And I was like, oh shoot, there's people in the waiting room. So if you just joined recently. We've gone over so far the sibling support, which you were able to participate in, and then we went over the family support network right before then. So we're going to send out an email tomorrow recapping everything, letting you know next steps. But if you'd like me to send you anything, just let me know and I can get you caught up on that. All right, our next area that we're going to talk about is our adult family community. So I'm going to have Stephanie, if you're comfortable, jump on and just talk a little bit about what that's looked like and what you guys are doing with that.
Sure. So we started this, I think our first meeting was November. After the conference, it was kind of, just really clear that there were enough of us, and there's definitely kind of a different need, I think, for the adult community. So anyone with a child age 16 or over is where we've kind of set the limit. So those looking at transitioning, high school and transitioning out of school into adult services. And it's been really good because I think what happens a lot of times, those of us that have older kids, my son's 28, it brings a lot of purpose to me to be able to share our story and to be able to answer questions to younger families. But at the same time, many of us, we don't have that older person to look to say, what can we expect in 20 years? We just don't have that. And so I think we're finding that a little bit in our group because there's different ages, but it's also nice to kind of not always it seems like we get asked a lot of questions. People ask us a lot of questions. And we haven't had as much opportunity maybe just to share our concerns, our thoughts, our struggles, what we're currently going through. And we're just at a different place. Many of us, my son lives in a group home. Some people have their children in their home and they're trying to deal with that. So we're kind of in a different situation because they're out of school, right? They don't have maybe as much support as they did. And it's just different. And then the way you handle some of the behaviors is different because they're adults. So what the setup for that is, we're meeting the fourth Sunday of every month, 4:00 Eastern time. And then quarterly. So we did a speaker in January. We had a speaker come in and talk a little bit on behaviors. My topic for April I had a speaker and they canceled. So I'm kind of searching for the fourth Sunday of April. We'll have a guest speaker. I don't know 100% what that's going to be. Then July, we're doing another one. That one is going to be a genetics counselor who haven't met with her yet to get the exact kind of layout of what it's going to look like. She has to be really careful not to actually give medical advice. So we're going to be very cautious there. But it's going to be more of just understanding kind of a basic, recap of genetics 101 and where to SATB2. It's actually my niece who became a genetics counselor because she grew up with my son. And she was actually at our conference last summer, and she's, building a relationship with Dr. Zrati. And so she's, it was actually she's at Cincinnati Children's, and that's our person that came and spoke at the conference. The genetics counselor is a colleague of hers. So she's pretty connected and keeps her tabs on SATB2. So I'm really excited for that. And then again, we'll have another speaker in October. We meet for an hour. We tend to go a little over. We've been going about an hour and a half. We've had great discussions. And I think most of the adults, the parents of the adults are really finding it helpful. I know I am. It's just nice to find a group that you can connect with. So yeah.
Thanks, Stephanie. So she's doing a phenomenal job with the adult group, and she's got the meeting stuff under wraps. And it's going great. She's doing a great job with it. But the one area where she is looking for support, if anybody is interested, is with the social media stuff. So if anybody
I'm not on social media a lot, and it's kind of an afterthought for me. So if there's somebody that would like to kind of just keep tabs on our Facebook page, and if someone's asking a question, like what I'll find is someone will put something on there and nobody responds, and then I feel guilty. I'm like, oh my gosh, nobody responded to them. So I think just facilitating that, and then maybe one person responds and then more people will. And that's just not I'm just not great at that. So if there's anybody that would want to do that, and I'll put it out to our group when we meet on the 23rd. I'll ask if there's anybody in that group that would be willing to do that. So.
All right. Thanks, Stephanie. Sorry, hold on. I got kids whining at me. It's bedtime.
If anyone knows of any SATB2 families that do have 16 or older children, definitely send them over to Stephanie. Have them reach out. I think it's a really good resource. I'm in that kind of stage myself where just becoming like the backup guardian for my brother, but also I have Lincoln, and who knew I would run my own group home one day of my sibling and my son. So, it's just one of those weird stages. So I think it's really important to have this resource, because there's definitely a line of divide of our young families, because we're getting more and more that are getting newly diagnosed. And a lot of our resources historically have been towards the littles. So I think having the opportunity for the bigs and having the safe space for those parents and caregivers who are in those kind of that like Stephanie was saying, there's no guidance of, we did this or we did that, but having the resource of what works for you helps kind of pave the path.
Yeah.
Pave the path for other people. Yeah, that was getting confused in my head.
All right. Does anybody have any questions about this particular area before we move on to the last one? No? All right. All right. So our last one. This is kind of our newest area that we are going to be adding into the this committee. And it's something we are going to need quite a bit of help with. So I'm going to break it down into the two different areas. We'll start with educational resources. So as I'm sure most of you have seen on our website, we have these educational papers that you can hand out to medical professionals, and then we have some for the families as well that just have some basic information about what SATB2 is, about what the symptoms look like. We have some that are symptom specific. So we have one on teeth, we have one on speech, for example. And those really need to be updated. We haven't updated them in quite a while. So it's time. It's time for us to update that information. So what we're looking for this area is we're looking for people to help us kind of figure out what the important information is. What do we want to have on these papers? And we're gathering that information right now. We do not need anybody to actually make them for us because we were very fortunate to receive a grant through a company called SCI. And the money that we got with that grant is what we're going to be using to create these resources. So now we need the ideas to create these resources. So that's what we're looking for help on with that. So, the ways that you can help with this is look at the resources that we currently have, kind of let us know what you think is important in terms of what papers that we should have available. So like as a board, we talked about it, and we kind of talked about which of those papers currently exist that we think we need to continue to have. Speech obviously is a huge area for our kids. Dental stuff is huge for our kids. Those papers aren't going to go anywhere, but we do need to update them and get them more accurate with what we know about SATB2 now. So if that's something that you are particularly talented with, you think that you are good at pulling information together, you could be a great resource for that in that area. And then the second area is webinars. So currently the structure we've been using is we've been doing quarterly family support group meetings. And while I do love them, I think we've kind of heard pretty loud and clear from the community that it's just too hard to get on these meetings live. I do plan to continue to do them for our newly diagnosed families. I think it's important for them to have a live place to go to be able to ask questions when they're new to the diagnosis. But we're going to kind of work towards transitioning away from those live meetings and going more towards, I'm going to say webinars. They're not always going to be webinar style necessarily, but recorded basically is what we're looking to do. We're looking to pre-record it so that you guys can kind of watch it whenever works for you. And we always have that available to you. And then we also can, as those topics kind of come up, if there's a lot of questions involved with them, we can absolutely try to do a live meeting to do a Q&A with whoever the speaker is on that particular topic. So what I need from you guys in that area is I just need ideas. I need connections. So if you know people who, you know, work in a field that can give good information on something that could be helpful to the SATB2 community, we want to talk to them. So that's what I need from everybody. Also, if you're really good on camera and you enjoy talking to people, I'd love to have other people to host them as well. You know, that would involve, it depends on the style that you're doing. You could do an interview style. You could do just introduce them and let them give a spiel. You could do podcast style, you know, whatever kind of works for you for that particular recording. But if that's something you're comfortable doing and something you enjoy doing, I'd love to have you on board for that as well. You don't need any experience, which is good. I just need connections. That's all I'm really looking for. So does anybody have any questions about either of those? No questions. All right. Rachel, do you have anything to add in there before we wrap up?
I think the only thing is just feel free to reach out to Jenna and I, give us your ideas. Even if you maybe feel like you can't volunteer your time, your thoughts and your ideas are just as important to us. We've done webinars in the past. There's a series on potty training. There's a series on, I think there's an IEP meeting. There's some AAC stuff. There's lots of stuff out there. So really whatever, kind of like an internal survey, whatever you feel you need to be supported in your SATB2 journey, that's what we want to know. And now, yeah.